G'day guys, and welcome to the show where I report on the latest in video game news. If you guys do end up enjoying today's video, please remember to smack the like button real good. And now, let's jump into the first news report on today's show, and it's that a man has set out on a quest to raise funds of $240,000 so that he can sue EA Games. Yes, that is correct. As you can see, this headline reads, Angry Gamer launches $240,000 campaign to take EA to court for its microtransactions. This guy has launched an Indiegogo campaign, and he basically wants to get EA into court, and that's the funds he needs. It's pretty simple stuff right there, but on top of it, he's added a $10 million stretch goal on top of the $240,000, and then he promises to kick open Disney's door and demand a single-player Star Wars game. I think this guy is a little bit crazy, but hell, why not? Now the funny thing is, if we do take a look at the Indiegogo campaign, yeah, it's pretty sad times over there. Not much has been, yeah, it's actually pretty sad. Now the thing is, if this story does pick up, maybe, just maybe, he'll get funds, but I honestly don't even think it's about raising funds. I think it's just about getting the story out there and showing that people are trying to take EA to court, even though EA would eventually win because they're backed by Disney also in this case specifically, but EA in general are also a billion-dollar corporation, so they just continually just keep going to court, and all the court fees will just run this guy dry. But the most important thing here is that someone is trying to take action. It's a good thing that they're doing it. They don't want microtransactions to be in games, and they're trying to take EA to court, so I guess that's a good thing. There's still just over 2 weeks left on this campaign, so I guess anything could happen. Some crazy rich guy could just go, hey, why not? Here you go, 250K or whatever. So you never know what could happen, but if you want to read more about this article and check out the campaign yourself, I've linked it in the description down below. It is pretty crazy that this is happening. I think it's a good thing. All this attention on EA, on loot boxes, on microtransactions, it's a good thing. And speaking of those microtransactions, and this video is basically going to be about that, the next thing is about microtransactions and loot boxes and the government stepping in. As you guys already know, I reported on yesterday's video that the government over in Belgium and also in Hawaii, one of the senators or whatever, have actually stepped in, and they want people to actually know about all this stuff, and they want to shut down gambling, aka loot boxes. However, there's been an update to this because here in my very own country, the state of Victoria is stepping in. The Victorian Gambling Authority has stated what occurs with loot boxes does constitute gambling. And on top of all the stuff they talked about gambling specifically, like we heard in Belgium and in Hawaii, they also went on to talk about how it could affect the industry. Here's a quote right here, and it states, I could imagine that this would send ripples through the industry, and it would support the objectives of the gambling legislation to ensure minors are not encouraged to participate in gambling. This is massive stuff right here. And in a way, it's very similar to what we saw here in Australia a few years ago, where certain games were restricted in Australia, where we actually didn't even get them classified. They were declassified and they weren't allowed, like Mortal Kombat, for example. And then we had to actually fight to get R18 games in. But now it's all about microtransactions and loot box and things of that nature. They're most likely going to change the laws where it's going to be, if you want a microtransaction or a loot box of any kind, most likely just loot boxes, if you want those in your AAA game, or I guess in any game in this sense, it'll have to be an R18 game, specifically here in Australia. Maybe that'll go for the rest of the world, just so that kids don't gamble. Hell, I just thought about something, and it's the United States. In the United States, I'm pretty sure the gambling age is like 21, unlike 18 in Australia. So you imagine if you can't get CSGO skins, or if you can't get Overwatch loot boxes or anything like that. Like, no more loot boxes until you're 21, or if you're buying a game, you have to be 21 to buy that game to just be able to open up some loot boxes. That's a crazy thought, but it's the time that we are living in right now. This whole thing about EA, Star Wars Battlefront 2, it's just blown up so big that governments are stepping in, and it's amazing that this is happening. The trend that this was all going in towards was getting kind of ridiculous. It was kind of becoming like mobile games in AAA titles. We're paying $60 to $80 for a full title game. It's just nuts. However, now that the government's stepping in, that's a good thing. And the thing is, I actually like loot boxes to an extent. I like it when it's just just cosmetic items, but then again, it is gambling in a way. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all this. As I said, every time there is an update with this stuff, depending on what government is doing what and where the news is heading, I will keep you guys up to date on that. But until then, that's it for today's gaming news. And now, Gorilla Man, please hand me that question. Thanks, Gorilla Man. Okay, guys, the question is, if you could take a video company to court because of an annoying thing that happened in a game, what would that be and why? So get creative with the answer and put it down below in the comment section. But if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to smack the like button because I'm Champ Chong, my accent is Australian. Here, and that's the previous question.